Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you all had an awesome weekend. I definitely did. It was a great time. We're going to start with some more fun stuff, just chilling here, and then we'll get into some of the politics stuff. Got some interesting stuff going on today, as always, in today's news world. So we'll start with a little more lighthearted, some Charlie, some space stuff. We'll enjoy that. And then we'll get into the heavy shit.
I'm making fun of the Starbucks CEO because he recently defended the absurd price tag, the $9 cup of joe, and then talked about how customers are willing to shell out that premium because it's a great experience. It's all about a great seat and making a great connection with your barista. Basically, you're going to fall in love with your barista and it's worth every goddamn penny. Now, the reason why I've just given you that AI synopsis right there on what this video is going to be about is because I don't know how much of the actual interview I can use here because it's the Wall Street Journal, and historically the Wall Street Journal is like a fucking cartel when it comes to anything that it produces. Or even if I've shown you a clip from something in the Wall Street Journal, I've gotten in trouble in the past for it. Even if it's a 5 or 10 second clip, they've come at me looking for fucking scalp. They'd be plucking my teeth out of my mouth until I apologized. I do not fuck with the Wall Street Journal. They've done great reporting, I get that, but any time that I've tried to opine on something that's been broken by the Wall Street Journal, I am very prohibited in what I'm allowed to show you, so instead we're going to be looking at a transcript, and maybe I'll jump scare you with split seconds of this CEO talking in the interview and see how that goes. So yesterday, the Starbucks CEO, Brian Buttfuck My Wallet, went on to defend the company's $9 cup of coffee, insisting that the price reflects a premium experience offered to customers. He also was recently granted access to the company jet for personal travel, which is a nice little tiddlywink of information I didn't know about, so thanks to the article here for enlightening me on that, because he definitely deserves it. Brian needs to be traveling luxuriously, and he's doing the Lord's work out there. He's delivering mediocre coffee to every sucker out there willing to fork over all the clams for it. He also said that customers across all income levels are willing and happy to shell out big money for a chance to interact with baristas or score a great seat inside the chain. This article is kind of underselling how he portrays that. If I could show you more of the video, I would. But I'm going to drop that little bit and hope that it's okay. I mean, it's going to be less than 3 seconds. I feel like there's no fucking argument Wall Street Journal could make to take down this video, but I guess we'll see. I think it's important you hear it right from his lips.
That value is to be able to have a great seat, have a great moment of connection with a barista.
Son of a bitch, I tried everything, but I couldn't get it to 3 seconds. It's 4.5, but it's under 5, so I should be safe. I should be protected. I don't think they can roll up with the goddamn Pinkertons for me showing 4 seconds here at the very end of the interview. Well, at least of this segment of the interview. So he's talking about the value you get, about the great seat, which I will slam my fist on the desk and shout, objection. What great seat. It's fucking Starbucks. It's like the most sterile, generic environment you can ever find yourself in. You sit down in a swamp-ass throne and you maybe tinker away on your laptop or something while drinking some mid-ass coffee. What great seat are you talking about here, Brian? And I can't make a lot of promises to you about what you'll encounter in your life, but I can make one promise that I know 100% with certainty will never happen, and that's you forming a special connection with your barista over going to Starbucks and getting yourself a coffee. That doesn't happen. I don't know what he's talking about. Do they have intimacy coordinators on staff at Starbucks where they try and get the baristas excited to maybe fall in love with a customer or something after serving a pumpkin spice latte? I doubt it. They are workers looking to just do their job and go about their day. Not be bothered, not be harassed, and not have this expectation that a customer is going to come in there and form some kind of special connection because the CEO said so. That doesn't happen. It will never happen. I don't know what he's talking about. This guy must have just fucking did some ayahuasca or something. This is some baloney. And also, Brian looks AI generated. I know that is low-hanging fruit as a critique, but literally this guy looks AI generated. He has like that blurry-ass zoom background there, and he himself pops like a Pixar character. This shit doesn't look real. Brian looks like a fake human being. Anyway, out of fear, I'm not going to show you any more from the actual interview, but Brian does go on to drop some premium nuggets. What we're seeing is people, they want to have a special experience, and regardless of what your income level is, in some cases, a $9 experience does feel like you're splurging. And then what that means is we have to make it worthwhile, right? And then in other cases, people believe, well, this is really affordable premium experience, because they're saying like, well, it's less than $10 and I get a really premium experience. I don't know what dimension this guy lives in, but it's so detached from reality. Out of touch doesn't even begin to encompass this. This is just like actual mental illness. This is delusional. He needs to be institutionalized. He needs to be medicated. What is Goober even yapping about? What premium experience? Every Starbucks is exactly the same. They're copy and paste. It's a place where joy goes to die. I wonder if you can tell that I'm not the biggest fan of Starbucks. I wonder if that's coming through loud and clear. I have never had a positive experience at one. The food is at best. I'm not a coffee drinker already, so they have nothing to offer me, and every time I've tried coffee from there, it's even worse than other coffees I've tried elsewhere. There's nothing premium about it. That's like saying that the shitter at the AMC movie theater is premium because you're comparing it to a gas station toilet at the local Shell. Like, it's still trash, man. Like, there's nothing premium about it. It is like the most by the numbers, formulaic, nothing new establishment you could ever venture into for your coffee and overpay for. You're paying $9 for a normal experience of just going and getting some mediocre beverage. There's nothing special about it, and there is certainly nothing that Starbucks does to make it worthwhile for $9. That is just expensive. I don't know who he is citing when he's saying, and then people look at it like, well, this is really affordable for a premium experience because it's less than $10. Nobody says that. No, not even an NPC that you programmed would say that. Because it's not. There's no premium experience, and there's nothing affordable about it. It's expensive. And also, it speaks volumes that he can't even justify the $9 price tag on the merit of the beverage itself. Instead, he is relying on these ancillary things like, $9 may feel like splurging, but we have to consider the entire experience of going into the Starbucks. That's what's most important, the ambiance. That's what makes it worth it, the premium experience. He can't even just say with his whole chest that our drinks are so good and so high quality that they warrant a $9 price tag. You're paying for the highest quality coffee on the planet. Because that's not what you're paying for. You're just overpaying for mid shit.
It's good enough.
And he knows that. And he knows he wouldn't be able to get away with saying that. So instead he's relying on these like X factor things of a connection with the barista, a great seat, and of course, the premium Starbucks experience of being lucky enough to come inside of a Starbucks. It's a privilege. And you should feel honored every time you walk through those doors. That's what warrants the $9 price tag. Not our shit-ass coffee. Anyway, the interview continues. Brian keeps putting his asshole in his mouth. He's talking about how Starbucks is actually doing very well, hasn't been impacted, and then even bragged about how the coffee chain is doing really well with younger generations. Hey, Brian, you know what else is doing really well with younger generations? Fucking tongue sahur. Scalping neatos. Fighting each other over Pokemon cards at Walmart and Target. That statement is a nothing burger to me. In my eyes, it is a full-blown, venti, vaporwave, nothingness. Starbucks hasn't done anything to improve the quality of its products or improve its brand or anything at all, so I don't think it being successful with the younger generations is a testament to it doing things right. It's a testament to it just being there and existing. And the younger generation has clearly heard of it before, so they're willing to consume the product. That's it. I don't think he's hit some kind of home run here in recent Starbucks changes, because from everything I've seen, there haven't been any. It's just the same old Starbucks, but now just even more expensive than I ever thought possible for its shit. This fucking guy is so cringe. We're doing really well with Gen Z and millennials, and then really had strong performances across all income cohorts. It can start with as little as $3 for a traditional cup of coffee. And then obviously you can build your way into all sorts of customized drinks that people love and that move that ticket up. The way we're going to play the value game is you're gonna feel like it was worth it. Who walks away from Starbucks saying, holy shit, all that money I wasted was worth it? That was a premium experience. Who does that? What kind of actual loser has that kind of parting thoughts? Like, man, $9 down the tubes, but what a fucking experience. Oh my God, I think the barista might want to have sex with me. I think the barista wants to marry me. It just doesn't happen. There's no premium experience. He insists customers value the experience over discounts or flashy one-off promotions. Whoa. Oh, that's what everyone says. I don't want to save money. I want to make sure when I go to Starbucks, everything is exactly the same and there's a chance of a connection with the barista. Please, don't help me save money with discounts or anything. I want to waste maximum amounts of money here at the same fucking Starbucks as always. Yeehaw. I'm sure, Brian. I'm sure. Anyway, I won't blabber on more about this guy. Just another painfully out-of-touch CEO I had to clown on. That's really about it. See ya.
That's goofy. All right, let's watch some space stuff.
Unveiled a massive amount of progress updates on its most anticipated project. The lunar Starship is in active development and SpaceX is backing it up with facts. We do the complete analysis. Rocket Lab, Blue Origin and NASA are cooperating on the next New Glenn launch. And the Space Force's Golden Dome takes shape. Is space in danger? My name is Felix, welcome to What About It? Let's dive right in. Starship updates. Humanity is at an inflection point. For the first time in our existence, we possess the means, technology, and for the moment, the will to establish a permanent human presence beyond Earth. That's the introduction to a new post SpaceX published on its website. A link to it will be in the description of this video if you want to take a look, and today's Starship update segment is mainly about this. Why? It is crucial to understand the past and future of SpaceX's Starship. I'm often confronted with one very important question. If SpaceX is supposed to land on the moon in 2026 or possibly early 27, how come we haven't seen any lunar Starship hardware yet? What SpaceX is testing at Starbase right now is not meant to fly to the moon. Doesn't it take a long time to develop something like an HLS Starship, especially if it took so long to get to where Starship development is right now? You're right, it does. It takes way longer than a few months, but then how are they supposed to land on the moon in 26? Aren't they way behind? You see, this is where available evidence and reality separate. Public perception is that there's nothing visible at Starbase yet that would point to the lunar Starship, except for maybe that quick mock-up nose cone next to the Tiki Bar. The Tiki Bar. However, that is not all, and SpaceX has finally provided an update on exactly that. I tried to convey this multiple times on my episodes in the past, but that's hard without any proof. So here we go, to the moon and beyond. How far exactly is SpaceX in designing and constructing the elusive lunar Starship? To get a good answer, we need to first understand the question. What does it mean to build a lunar Starship? What's the task? Simply put, it's the biggest aeronautical project in human history. Starships are not just supposed to get us back to the moon as Apollo did in the 60s and 70s. Every single HLS Starship landing on the moon will be its own lunar base. Yeah, a temporary but substantial foothold on the moon. A base station capable of supporting a crew for weeks, maybe even months, without having to build a base. A single Starship boasts a pressurized habitable volume exceeding 600 cubic meters, roughly 2/3 that of the entire International Space Station. Complete with a scalable cabin for hordes of explorers and dual airlocks tailored for surface ops. By comparison, each of Starship's 2 airlocks offers about 13 cubic meters of habitable space, more than twice what the Apollo lander provided. That's big! Cargo versions of the Starship lander can touch down with payloads of up to 100 metric tons directly on the surface, hauling massive payloads such as unpressurized rovers, pressurized rovers, nuclear reactors, and lunar habitats. Taking that into account, SpaceX isn't late at all. Do not confuse the lunar Starship with any other lander ever built or in construction right now. Now here comes the reason why public perception and reality are diverging. SpaceX's lunar Starship effort efforts are divided into two parts.
Well,
I
the
quote
problem
SpaceX
is they're
here.
gonna make
These
us
two
late
parts are the
to
development
landing
of
on
the
the
core
moon.
Starship system and
That's the
supporting
problem.
infrastructure, including production facilities, test facilities, and launch sites, which SpaceX is self-funding, representing over 90%
Jordan, I'm gonna do
of
something very
system costs.
diabolical.
What's up?
I'm gonna take a shower in the voice chat while I talk to you.
Okay. Just don't get on camera.
I'm not gonna get on camera, bro. I don't want to get you horny.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I can't do that, when I'm live on stream.
And that's also cheating on Aurora. I cannot break her heart. If she's here, tell her I love her.
She's working. She's at work right now.
Is she a
but
software engineer, by the way?
What?
Is she a software engineer?
She has done some software engineer work in the past. Yeah.
Mm.
She's
Damn,
worked
she's
very
godly,
well.
bro.
Yeah. She's kind of the best. I got real lucky with that one.
I'm getting real lucky with mine, kinda.
Yeah? Tell me. Tell me about it.
In a talking stage with someone at the moment.
And?
She comforted me after that girl incident.
Okay.
Loving my ass off.
Alright.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, I just, we call each other like saying, it's not that big of a deal. Like it's nothing. We just call each other pet names or whatever. We just like, we love each other. Like we just all love each other.
Where's she from?
Yeah, I can tell you.
Oh shit.
I can't tell you because the stream and stuff, but I'll DM you.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, buddy. I hope that keeps going forward. That's really really good, really great. I'll tell you right now. What else is new with you? How's the school stuff been going?
I gotta take my exam soon. She's check your DM. Because I need to delete it.
Oh. Okay. Cool. Interesting.
So basically, like I'm gonna study like with my JADs is they're just requiring me to do like the practice exam first before I take it, and then like I have to like take the exam. So right now I'm doing like multiple practice tests before I get into the real exam.
Uh-huh. And how are you feeling with those so far?
I mean they're kind of annoying. It's just because they get tricky sometimes. It's just they kind of get tricky, but like I need to practice more. But I'll be fine. I just need to do it, and then when I do it, I will just like basically once I do it, I will just chill the fuck out.
Good.
And I'm not, and after that, I'm not gonna study for a while. Like gonna take a break for like at least like a week. Then I'm gonna jump into my cybersecurity stuff, my CS50, everything. Then that's it. But I'll be really happy when I get the equivalency. Because honestly, like I don't need to study like high end shit just to fucking get into cybersecurity. Like before that, like do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the laws in Jordan, I'll say this: where now they made like if you want to get the high school, like the college admission test, you got to do it for 2 years instead of 1 year, and they're kind of ruining it.
Why?
Like the ministry here, just they make a lot of retarded decisions, and I don't know why. Because like they just want to stress people out. Like I'm like, no, it's not. It's just so bad, bro. Like a lot of kids, like they suffer from mental health stuff, and it gets worse over time. They have to like sign up for centers, everything. They just ruin people.
Oof.
Like I'd rather do the GED. I mean, it's equivalent to it. I can get onto a college in America, so who cares? America education is better. It doesn't matter which college, because they're all equal. Like American education is just better.
Yeah. American and European, I think, are both really good too. I don't know. You might want to consider European too, considering how things are here right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I have a friend from Armenia. He studied in California. Which is fucking funny.
Okay. Cool. There's a lot
You
of
know how much?
Armenians. There's a lot of Armenians in Los Angeles.
I know.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. What were you gonna say?
what I'm saying is a lot of the Armenians, basically like how do I say it? Like no, not a lot of the Armenians. Fuck, you kind of like juked me off the conversation. How do I say it? 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 The guy from Armenia, he's basically not a software engineer, an app developer, like a front end with Figma and whatever.
Okay.
And he basically what he does, like how much he earns is like 4K euros a month, and like he gets less taxes in Armenia. I'm like, dude, you're fucking living like a king. Your country.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. If you work remotely for an American company in another country, ooh, you're making big fucking money.
You're making big money, bro. Even like but he works in Germany. I mean, he's a senior developer.
Okay, but he lives in Germany. Oh, if he's a senior developer, then yeah, he's just making big money anyway.
Yeah, he's making big money, bro. Like this man. But it's really hard to find a job though, where he literally said I had to hunt like I had to like apply for multiple jobs just to get one.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, considering like having an American cert is a fucking it's basically a power play.
Yeah, having an American cert is good. Having an American degree is even better.
I mean, that's what I meant. American cert is like an American degree is a
Right.
fucking power play.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Mm.
Well, that's good, man. Like keep pushing for it.
Mm.
You want to keep moving forward for sure.
Yeah. Reach level 10 hunter, and then I'll be good. بروح الحمام هسه بروح الحمام. اوكي.
What else you been getting up to?
Nothing really, just been life, talking to my wife. I call her wife
Wow.
because just because I kind of have a crush on her.
Oh wow. Well, it sounds like sounds like she likes you too. No.
I mean, yeah, she does love talking to me, she said. So, yeah, we both love talking to each other. Like, even when things are silent between us, or we barely talk, we just enjoy talking to each other.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Like what kind of stuff do you guys like to do together?
I mean, the thing is with both of us, like, we said this before, like, both of us are just too busy. Like, she's busy with college, and I'm busy with my stuff, so, like, we barely have time for each other, but we enjoy each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, we don't get the time to spend time with each other. That is the bad thing. And besides, since she lives in China, the time zones are fucking annoying, which just pisses me off.
Buddy, you just said that on the stream.
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't say where she's from actually,
Oh,
so
okay.
who cares?
Um,
I mean, it's not like anyone's gonna be like, "What the fuck are you talking to a girl from
yeah,
China?"
I know. I don't care. I thought you cared. That's why I'm saying something.
Yeah, I know, but like I know what I'm saying. Basically, just don't worry about me. I know what I'm saying, bro.
Good. Well, that's good, man. I hope that works out for you. It sounds like she's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. Like, what else do you want to talk about? I mean, I think the stuff. It looks like the war is starting again.
Let's hope not. I don't want to die yet.
Well, I don't think it's. The nice thing about living in Jordan is they usually stay out of this stuff, right? They're kind of okay with everybody. They don't piss anybody off. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, like, for the
they just don't
most
want
part,
drama, bro. Nobody
yeah.
just like want. This is what I like about my government. Like they don't care about wars. They're just in the middle. I love my government.
Yeah, which is smart, right? It's
Hundred
smart to
percent.
do that. You don't get fucked by all the other crazy shit going on. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's insane. I hope things get resolved soon. Gas is getting crazy expensive here right now.
Yeah, I mean because of the. Yeah, I mean if Trump did not attack anyone, bro, it would have been better. Like because nobody wants
Yeah,
war.
if he had gone in and like known what he was doing and like you know got rid of the regime quickly and replaced it with like a people's driven movement or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't think that would have happened anyway.
Well, I mean, who knows? All we know is the way they did it was not gonna be it.
Yeah, but ground fighting, like ground fighting, like it's not like the Iraq war. You gotta understand, it's really like the country is worse than Afghanistan geographically.
Yeah, I know the mountains are crazy and all of that, but also like there are people who live in those areas who know what they are doing.
Yeah.
Mm, who knows?
Mm.
One
It's
hopes
gonna be-
things will get better, but now it seems like we're stuck with a potentially even worse regime.
Mm. I mean, it doesn't have any impact on my life, so
Well, that's good. That's good to hear,
yeah,
because that would not be fun if it did.
it won't be fun.
That would be pretty bad, I think. Yes.
Mm.
Quite bad. I know
I
you
beg
love
you
it when I
not.
do. I know you love it when I do that voice. It's your favorite thing.
Is neighbor running in the stream?
No, it's pretty quiet stream so far today.
Mm.
Yeah, no one's up in here right now. I mean, like, there's some lurkers, but nobody's talking. That's what I mean. You know. But
Why
hey,
don't you also stream on Twitch, like multiple platforms?
I might soon. Everyone's been telling me I should, so yeah, I might do that soon. I think.
I mean, yeah, stream on multiple things, and yeah, since I'm getting a gaming PC,
Yeah. I just fucking God, I fucking hate Twitch.
because it's the TOS.
Yeah.
Don't blame you.
Yeah.
A lot of these
There's
streaming platforms have fucking shit uh in terms of service, so I don't blame
yeah,
you.
Kick is the best one for that, I think. But Twitch has such a larger like user base.
Mm.
A little hard to get around that. So I think eventually I have to set it all up and all that shit and figure out, my strategy
Mm.
and all of that. I'm wanting to like really up my strategy in general, and I'm just kind of slacking a little bit right now.
Mm. I've been slacking a little bit with my studies, just
Yeah. Not good. We shouldn't slack, bud. We should both be working harder. You know?
I mean, sometimes I get lazy. I just want to have a break because I'm tired of people.
Oh, I get you. I get you, brother. I know what you mean. It's easy to be like, fuck this. I'll do something else. But also, like, it's good for us. We should do it. It's important.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, let me jump in the shower, and I gotta
Yeah.
talk to you as well. Hold on.
All right.
Man, hi,
this guy. Why is he flickering like this?
Mama, kasati pantaloni. Yeah, she did. She did my laundry.
Trying to build a cool thing. More parts that I just. Ooh, look at this motherfucker. This is a big boy.
You know what pisses me off? Like,
What?
with my school, I have to do a practice test before I get into the real exam. I'm like, fuck this shit. They just want me to practice it to get a high score. That's what they want.
I mean, yeah, probably. It makes sense though, right? Why wouldn't they want you to have a high score?
Because so I can get into college, and they can be
Yeah.
also, and things can be accredited 100%.
I mean, I think it makes sense to me that they'd want you to have a good score.
Yeah, but the issue is fucking like basic math.
Yeah, but you know,
Otherwise,
it's always good to like review that stuff and make sure you're on top of it. You know what I mean?
yeah, especially learning about the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and like the civil rights, since you have like 10 amendments.
Oh, they're like teaching you American shit?
Yeah, they've been teaching me American stuff.
Oh. Huh. Well, then maybe soon
They
you'll be
also taught me about like the civil rights, like abolishing slavery. It was in
yeah.
the 13th Amendment.
Yeah, what do you think of it so far? Is it interesting?
It's fucking better than here. At least they give you the history but more easier. They make things easier with you.
Americans are very proud of their history, so it's not surprising.
The thing is with American history, it's not that like it's not ancient. Like it's from
Yeah.
the early 1800s.
Yeah, it's pretty recent. It's not like a super new thing.
You want to see my cat, Jordan?
Sure.
Her name is Jerry. I mean, his name. I don't know. I don't know if it's a her or him, but I call him Jerry. Jerry the rat.
Oh, that's adorable. That is a very cute cat, dude.
The name is Jerry, and his sister name is Tamara.
Tamara.
Yeah.
That's a really cute cat. Yep. Oh man, I do like a nice cat, you know?
Bro, nothing better than fucking shaving your back, bro. So amazing. Like shaving your body hair. No, it's seriously because, bro, I fucking itch. I itched a lot. Like, I do take
Okay.
showers and everything. I have a hygiene. But, like, when you sleep naked, it's just like the hair fucks around with you. Kind of gay to say, but who cares?
Hey, look, if it feels good, it feels good, bro. I ain't gonna judge. I just didn't expect it. He caught me off guard.
Yeah.
See, I'm building like a big ass ship in Rebel Space Program right now.
I'm gonna
Play
shave
this
my
game.
beard tomorrow, and then I'll be fine.
Huh?
I'm gonna shave my beard tomorrow, and I'm just talking to myself in the shower.
Oh. I usually shave my head and my beard like once every couple days.
You know, it's kind of a weird question, but in our religion, like this is like a weird statement,
Okay.
and it's mandatory. Every 40 weeks, you have to shave your pubes,
I
your pubic hair.
can't. I
Every 40
can't.
days.
Buddy, I cannot hear you at all.
I said what's weird in my religion, and it's not weird. It makes a lot of sense that you have to shave your pubes every 40 days.
Okay. Why?
Because, I don't know, it's just because shaving them is just like a way that, it shows cleanliness.
Okay.
It's a sign of cleanliness.
Interesting.
And like shaving your armpits as well.
Huh. I
Like a lot of men will
did not know
consider it
that.
gay, but it's not gay because like hair can basically like trap all these like dirt and stuff.
Huh. I
So
was
yeah.
not aware of this.
I mean, good knowledge,
Yeah.
forbidden knowledge.
Yeah. I had no idea that was a thing. Interesting. I didn't. I'm like I never realized that was religious. But isn't it like? Aren't you like not supposed to like? Don't some Muslims like not shave their beard? Isn't that a
I
thing?
mean, here's the thing. 1 minute. Just give me a second. I need to put the shampoo on and stuff. I got like
Okay.
So what did you say?
I said, it isn't there like a thing in Islam about like not shaving your beard?
I mean, here's the thing. A lot of the scholars would consider it optional,
Uh
and
huh.
people would consider it mandatory. It's like if you actually like, go weird, it's just a sign of showing that you're religious.
Okay.
That's what most people believe, I believe. But for me, I don't like I don't agree with it in my opinion because I hate beards.
Okay.
It just
Fair
depends on the
enough.
person, but it depends on the school of law or your
Yeah.
denomination.
Yeah, because there's some sects of Judaism that are the same. You don't shave your beard.
Yeah.
Mm.
I want you to explain me this. What's the Orthodox Jews belief? Just give me a second. Let me wash my hands.
Well, I mean, they believe a lot of things. Like, what do you?
Wait. Let me just wash. Let me just put in. What did you say?
I said they believe a lot of things. Like, what are you asking in particular?
Like, what is the full belief? Since like there's Ashkenazi, there's Orthodox.
Well, Ashkenazi is an ethnicity. It's not a sect of Judaism.
Mm. But
Yeah.
what is the full belief? Like like we worship the same God. It's just like what's the rules?
Well, I think I mean, I guess the big difference in core belief that we could talk about a lot is that like Jews don't believe the Messiah has come or anything.
Mm.
That's a big thing, right? Christians do. I don't know if Muslims. I mean, do Muslims consider Muhammad like a Messiah figure?
Mm.
Yeah. Yes.
What did you say?
Do Muslims consider Muhammad to be like a Messiah figure?
No, Jesus is the Messiah. That's what we
Jesus is
believe.
the Messiah. Okay, yeah. So Jews don't believe that the Messiah has come yet because there's things in the Torah that he doesn't really fit, and yeah, that sort of thing.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, Obviously, I don't really believe in any of it, so I don't really care. But
Yeah, you might see me as Jewish. Like you're ethnically a Jew, but like you're not like yeah.
yeah, I'm not religious in any way. Like I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any like religious beliefs really, period. That's just not my thing. Not for me.
Mm. Oh, my body's fucking itching. Oh, that is what? My back's so good right now, bro. Holy shit.
Mm, mm-hmm. Okay. Mm. Is that what that is? Structural module groups? Let's see. Okay. What happens if I put one of these bad boys?
Oh,
Hmm.
Ah,
Yeah,
ah,
so I'm
eh,
using the
danke daw
wrong
sa
part. I think I'm using the wrong pot. What is that? Hmm.
well, more here.
Oh, thank you for the follow, spammer. Appreciate that. Mm. Hmm. What up? What's going on, tablet? Hey Mo, I'm gonna keep watching this video.
It's
Give me,
okay. Just remove me from the VC. I need to
yep,
like
got you. Pop back in if you want later. Yeah,
yeah, just remove me.
yep. What's up, tablet? How you doing? Having a good Monday?
And development of the HLS-specific Starship configuration, which leverages and modifies the core vehicle capability to support NASA's requirements for landing crew on and returning them from the moon. One of these two parts you've seen a lot of, and the other you haven't. We talk about Starship development at Starbase, McGregor, and Hawthorne twice a week. What we don't talk about is HLS. And the only reason for this is that there is no info. It's largely being done behind closed doors. Why? Because it's a race, and everything that's shown publicly is
How
instantly
you got here
being
like me?
investigated and copied by
Easy, brother. It's the easiest thing. Just wait a while.
others. That's the reality, and you can't blame those who copy it. What would you do if you had to win a race? Taking inspiration and copying have always been a fixed part of almost every industry, not just by China. SpaceX does it too, granted less than others. And SpaceX is working under a fixed price contract with NASA, ensuring that the company is only paid after the successful completion of progress milestones, and American taxpayers are not on the hook for increased SpaceX costs. I've said this before, there is no tax money wasted in this. So there are two paths. So far, SpaceX has cranked out over 36 Starships and 600
The real
Raptor
key
engines,
is
clocking more than
to get it to shine right.
226,000 seconds of burn time.
Right? You want to reflect well enough that people can see it on the moon. Like I want Artemis 4 when they're on the moon to be able to see the reflection off my head. That's my ultimate goal, right? That takes a lot of work. A lot of exfoliation. It's not easy.
on the Raptor 2 and over 40,000 seconds on the cutting-edge Raptor 3. They've launched 11 Starship-only flight tests and 11 full-stack flights with Starship and Super Heavy. There have been ups and downs, and you're familiar with them if you've been following Y for a while. And then there's that second path you don't know much about. Let me change that real quick. Path number 2 is the lander. In secrecy and shrouded from the public, SpaceX's HLS team has completed 49 milestones tied to developing the subsystems so far. Let's take a look at some of them. SpaceX released a massive amount of information. We have full-scale cabin demos, multi-crew habitation testing, oxygen and nitrogen injection, air distribution, sanitation, humidity, thermal control, and cabin acoustics. We have docking adapter qualification, an androgynous SpaceX system, active and passive, linking Starship and Orion, derived from proven Dragon 2 technology. We have landing leg drop prototyping, a full-scale article at Flight Energies on simulated lunar regolith to validate performance and foot regolith interaction. There's Raptor Luna throttling, a thrust profile demo for a precise moon landing. MMOD, or micrometeorite and orbital debris testing, shielding, insulation and windows stack-ups against impacts and thermal extremes. Landing avionics have been created and tested, software, sensors and radar demos for navigation and pinpoint lunar touchdowns. Are you still with me? We're not done yet. Here's a quick note from today's sponsor before we go on. Space nerds like you and me really hate missing their favorite rocket launching. Today's sponsor,
right.
Launch Notifier, has created a service that helps you keep track of Starship launches and engine test fires with ease and comfort.
I want that.
Each time SpaceX is about to perform a test fire or launch, a siren sounds. That is the signal that there are just 10 minutes left before the action starts. This is when Launch Notifier sends you an email or text message. This message not only notifies you of the imminent action, but it also contains links to running live streams covering the event. Sign up is simple, and best of all, you can enjoy this service for free. Just sign up to Tier 1 and receive email notifications. You can always upgrade to a higher tier to add text message services. And new users get 20% off their first month with code Y20. Don't miss any of this sweet Starbase action. Get Launch Notifier today. No downloads, no app, no hassle. Visit launchnotifier.com and stay on top of when Starship launches and testing is taking place. Alright, notified. Let's keep going with what SpaceX has done so far. A comprehensive software architecture review was conducted. Vehicle control processes, compute mapping, and critical functions such as zero fault detection, caution and warning alerts, and telemetry. Raptor cold start testing was done. Pre-chilled sea level and vacuum engines simulating post-coast conditions. An integrated operations plan review has taken place. SpaceX and NASA mission ops, flight rules, crew procedures, and a high-level timeline. A fuel depot power module was built. Prototype power generation and distribution for the tanker variant. Orbital refueling. The depot will require a significant amount of power, primarily for cooling the commodities. A ground RF comms demo was done. A flight equivalent ground station to vehicle link. The elevator/airlock demo was completed. One of the very few things on this list we actually saw images of before. It was conducted using Axiom EVA suits, full crew and cargo transfer ops between Starship and the lunar surface. A medical system demo happened as well, onboard crew medkit and ground telemedicine tests. You want those Artemis astronauts to be prepared for every eventuality. HITL, or hardware-in-the-loop testbed activation on flight hardware sims for the upcoming propellant transfer demo was also already completed. This is another comment I've read in various forms by now. SpaceX will need to develop the fuel depot and the fueling process. They haven't even started that, so orbital fuel transfers in 2026 are unlikely. That is not entirely true, as they have begun developing this long ago. We just haven't seen the hardware in the open yet. That doesn't mean that they're not already working on it. So that's the state of progress, and SpaceX backed it up with many images. Now, the next big question is, what's next? And is it possible to meet the set deadlines? The answer to this follow-up question is tied to the two-path approach. They are maturing the Starship. At this point, they know precisely what form factor it will have. So SpaceX is fabricating a flight hardware Starship HLS cabin with functional avionics, power, crew systems, ECLSS or environmental control and life support system, comms and thermal control, while at the same time testing V3 Starships at Starbase and soon in Florida. It runs in parallel. This flight-ready module will demonstrate system maturity for lunar landings, facilitate integrated hardware testing, and provide realistic crew training. The emphasis here is on the term flight article. This first crew cabin could be flown. That's the goal, and SpaceX gave us a loose timeline as well. The next HLS milestones are, for 2026, a long-duration flight and in-space propellant transfer. Both of these milestones depend on how the new V3 Starship performs initially. If it flies smoothly out of the box, it will accelerate this timeline. If it doesn't, it will delay it. On-orbit refueling enables the Artemis architecture, delivering up to 100 tons to the lunar surface for rovers, habitats, and a sustainable moon presence. It kicks off with a Starbase-launched Starship lingering in orbit to collect propulsion and thermal data over an extended mission, including long-term propellant storage and boil-off rates. Very important. A second Starship then launches, rendezvous, and demos ship-to-ship propellant transfer in Earth orbit. So both tests will be combined. And it will happen as soon as a V3 Starship can do it without any significant problems. To be clear, the last two V2 flights could have done it, but they were still old gen. SpaceX needs to do this with the new generation. Here's another very important tidbit of information released by SpaceX. Remember how we speculated on how the orbital refueling process would happen? Here's SpaceX's reveal. Starship V3 vehicles are equipped with docking ports and can be configured to act as tanker vehicles by adding docking probes. We knew that one. However, SpaceX further states that Starship also has a connection point where propellants are loaded onto the vehicle in preparation for launch, which has been updated to enable on-orbit propellant transfer. What this likely means is that the actual in-orbit fuel transfer will happen through the same terminal they use on the ground, the quick disconnect. The tanker will have a quick disconnect to attach to the same interface that the ship uses for fueling on the ground. That's the story broken down. For the scale Starship is trying to achieve, it is not too late. Depending on V3 performance starting likely in January, SpaceX will finish an entire flight article cabin module next year, demonstrate a long-duration mission in Earth orbit, including fuel transfer, and possibly finish the first HLS Starship test article for a trip and landing demonstration on the moon. That is what we're looking forward to. Now, spaceflight development is a bit of a luck game, especially when constructing things that have never been done before. If the V3 design still has a few flaws, or if Raptor 3 won't perform as it should, if the orbital refueling causes trouble and traditional media reports about a fuel catastrophe in low Earth orbit, then it will take longer. That's the price you pay for wanting more. In my opinion, however, this seems well worth the wait. There is nothing comparable to Starship right now, and we should use it to catapult humanity to the next level. Before we move on, hit the subscribe button to stay informed. Like this video if it brought you value, and become a wise supporter for extra content. Up to 7 picture galleries per week, satellite, helicopter and ground photos, and 3D animations. Chat with me and gain more insights on the topic you love. Thank you very much. Alright, now let's talk about SpaceX's biggest competitors. How do they tie into all this? The second New Glenn rocket, designated NG-2, performed a successful hot fire on Thursday night. According to an ex-post, the company extended the duration of this test compared to NG-1's static fire. All 7 BE-4 engines fired in a beautiful sequence for a total of 38 seconds and without any signs of trouble. The extended test time was explained in an ex-post by Dave Limp. We extended the hot fire duration this time to simulate the landing burn sequence by shutting down the non-gimbaled engines after ramping down to 50% thrust, then shutting down the outboard gimbaled engines while ramping the center engine to 80% thrust. This helps us understand fluid interactions between active and inactive engine feed lines during landing. That sounds very similar to the early SpaceX problems with Super Heavy. After this critical milestone, NG-2 will be integrated with its payload, NASA's Escapade spacecraft built by Rocket Lab. This marks
can
the
do that.
final preparation before launch. This is a true teamwork mission. Blue Origin, NASA, Rocket Lab, all working in unison. You guys rock. With NG2's launch upcoming, let's have a look at New Glenn, Blue Origin's biggest rocket. They achieved a historic milestone on January 16, 2025, when New Glenn successfully reached orbit on its maiden flight. This was the first time a company achieved orbital insertion on a debut launch attempt in the modern commercial spaceflight era. New Glenn features a 7-meter diameter spanning both stages, making it the widest operational orbital rocket, at least until Starship with its continuous 9-meter diameter reaches orbit for the first time. At 98 meters tall, it towers over 30 stories and dwarfs SpaceX's Falcon family while remaining smaller than Starship. New Glenn's 2-stage configuration features a reusable first stage and an expendable second stage. The first stage, designated GS1, measures 57.5 meters and is powered by 7 BE-4 engines, producing a combined 1,746 tons of thrust at liftoff. BE-4 is about as powerful as a Raptor engine. The significant difference here is that Starship has more than 4 times the number of engines in its first stage. BE-4 is the most powerful oxygen-rich staged combustion engine ever flown using liquefied natural gas and liquid oxygen. It features deep throttle capabilities essential for precision landings. New Glenn's second stage extends 26.8 meters and utilizes 2 BE-3U vacuum-optimized engines, producing over 145 tons of combined thrust. These hydrogen-fueled engines achieve a specific impulse of 445 seconds. They rank among the highest performing operational rocket engines and enable efficient insertion into high-energy orbits. The BE-3U can restart up to 3 times during a mission, providing flexibility for complex orbit maneuvers, satellite constellation deployment, and direct geostationary injection. New Glenn was engineered from inception with reusability as a core design principle, targeting a minimum of 25 flights per first stage booster. Unlike Falcon 9's first stage, New Glenn's first stage is not designed to return to land on shore. It will perform sea-based landings exclusively on a massive autonomous vessel named Jacqueline, after Jeff Bezos' mother. The ship will be positioned approximately 1,000 kilometers downrange in the Atlantic Ocean. The booster's descent is controlled by an aerodynamic control system featuring 4 actuated fins near the top for attitude adjustment. 2 large fixed strakes provide lift and stability during atmospheric re-entry. It features a 6-leg landing system that deploys 14 seconds before touchdown. Regular fins? Why, no grid fins like SpaceX's launchers and many other manufacturers prefer. Unlike Falcon 9's or Starship's grid fins, New Glenn's fixed strakes generate body lift during descent, potentially enabling better cross-range capability. It glides way better than without them, shedding energy and thus protecting the booster and saving fuel. Now that we have a general idea of New Glenn, let's examine what it has accomplished so far and what the near and mid-term future holds for the giant rocket. The maiden flight's booster, whimsically named So You're Telling Me There's a Chance, successfully separated and initiated its return sequence, which in itself is a massive success for a first launch. Unfortunately, that was where the good fortune ended. NG-1's booster was lost during the final landing phase. At this point, it was traveling at approximately Mach 5.5 and 25.7 kilometers above sea level. This is when engines failed to restart for the landing burn, leading to the booster's demise. Blue Origin's investigation identified the root cause as slosh-induced oxidizer shortfall in the turbopumps and implemented several corrective actions. Again, this sounds very much like SpaceX's early problems with Super Heavy. Now, the company is confident in achieving a successful landing on the upcoming NG-2 mission, slated to launch in just a few days. In fact, Blue Origin is so confident in the Never Tell Me the Odds mission that the booster is already planned to perform a second mission on NG-3. And both missions are quite significant. While NG-2's task is to take NASA's Escapade probes to Mars, NG-3 is planned to take the uncrewed Blue Moon Mk1 lunar lander to the moon early next year. Speaking of next year, Blue Origin plans to begin providing regular launch services with New Glenn as well. If all goes to plan, we can expect up to 2 launches per month in 2026. Just like SpaceX's Falcon 9's primary mission is launches to deliver satellites for the Starlink constellation, New Glenn has a steady customer in Amazon's Project Kuiper constellation. 12 confirmed launches have been booked, and there are contractual options for an additional 15 Kuiper launches. And that is likely just the beginning. New Glenn will deploy 61 to 75 Kuiper satellites per launch, supporting Amazon's $10 billion broadband constellation targeting 3,236 satellites. Confirmed clients also include AST Space Mobile, which has contracted multiple launches for its massive Block 2 Bluebird satellites, Telesat with at least 5 launches for its Lightspeed constellation, Eutelsat, OneWeb, SkyPerfect, JSat, and NewSpace. Aside from these commercial clients, Blue has NASA contracts, including the Escapade mission and its contribution to the Artemis program, which involves delivering humans and materials to the lunar surface. The US Space Force also selected New Glenn to launch several national security payloads for a total of $2.4 billion from 2027 to 2032. There will be plenty to do for this launch system. Nonetheless, it is clear that Blue Origin is working on a successor to its largest rocket to date in the background. Meet New Armstrong, a concept for what's to come post New Glenn. All the way back in September 2016, Blue Origin briefly announced New Armstrong. Rob Meyerson, Blue Origin's former president, characterized New Armstrong as designed for that long-term vision of interplanetary transportation, suggesting capabilities that far exceed those of New Glenn. Jeff Bezos described it as the next chapter in the company's multi-generational vision for millions of people living and working in space, designed for Mars missions and deep space exploration. That sounded a lot like Elon's vision at this point. However, no technical details, specifications, or development timeline have been disclosed since the 2016 announcement. Whether New Armstrong represents an evolved New Glenn variant or an entirely new vehicle architecture remains unclear. While it is fair to assume that somewhere in a design office at Blue Origin, clever minds are working on what's to come after New Glenn, it is also safe to assume that the company will not go all in on New Armstrong before it has perfected New Glenn. This is a very advanced modern rocket, and it is only at the very beginning of its duty cycle. You can compare it to how SpaceX learned a great deal from the Falcon 9, which undoubtedly benefits Starship development significantly. Up in orbit, a new defense system is taking shape, the Golden Dome. Maryland-based Quantum Space is preparing to launch its first Ranger 500 spacecraft called Ranger Prime. On this launch, the Ranger 500 spacecraft is supposed to demonstrate critical capabilities. These include advanced avionics and remote proximity targeting operations. The goal is to show the ability to maneuver near to other objects in space with precision. What makes Ranger particularly innovative is its versatility. The company acquired Phase 4's multi-module propulsion technology in September. The thrusters are able to operate as both a chemical thruster for high thrust and an electric thruster for high efficiency. The engineers at Quantum have completed a manufacturing readiness review and are now moving forward with spacecraft assembly and testing. June 2026 is the launch target, and the mission will be launched from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. Quantum Space originally focused on cislunar operations between Earth and the Moon, but the company has since pivoted toward defense applications, particularly for the Golden Dome Missile Defense Initiative. It raised $40 million in June to fund development, describing Ranger as highly maneuverable and capable of supporting missile tracking sensors or space-based interceptors. But defense isn't the only application. Commercially, Ranger could dock with satellites in geostationary orbit to extend their operational life by 3 to 5 years. The company plans to follow Ranger 500 with its larger Ranger 2000 variant later in 2026, featuring expanded payload capacity and enhanced capabilities. Space-based military assets are a growing sector. Keep calm, everyone. Currently, this is solely for defense operations. That's it for today. Smash the like button, subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and this is how you can help us for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. Our brand new Mechazilla shirt and our Raptor.
Unfortunately, we begin the day with some alarming major breaking news about the 2026 midterms and future elections. Donald Trump is openly panicking that he and his party are headed for defeat in November if the midterms are anything close to approaching a fair fight. So now he's publicly ordering Republican governors and Republican state legislatures to cancel their elections. cancel their elections, even if they're already in progress, which many are, in order to go back and redraw the voting maps, to rig the voting maps and thus the elections in favor of the Republicans by taking seats away from the Democrats. And folks, at least one red state is already complying. Louisiana, they issued a state of emergency to cancel an election that was already in progress. Ballots had gone out and been returned, and they are canceling those elections in Louisiana in order to redraw the voting maps in favor of Trump and the Republican Party. And Trump is trying to get all other red states to do this. This is a 5-alarm fire. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, first I want to refer you to this article by Democracy Docket, which is Mark Elias's outfit. And Mark Elias is doing superhuman work trying to fight Republican election rigging and election stealing and gerrymandering across the country. So make sure you are subscribed to Democracy Docket as well. As they write, Trump issues demand that states cancel elections and rig maps for the GOP after Calais. After the Supreme Court gutted a key provision in the Voting Rights Act, Donald Trump insisted over the weekend that Republicans should rig political maps in their favor ahead of the upcoming midterms, even if that means scrapping active investigations.
Unreal.
In his latest alarming outburst on social media, Trump said Sunday that the Supreme Court's 6-3 decision in Louisiana v. Calais required states to redraw their electoral maps, claiming that races held under current maps would be unconstitutional. So this is the tweet. He says, "We cannot allow there to be an election that is conducted unconstitutionally simply for the convenience of state legislatures. If they have to vote twice, so be it. If people have to vote twice, so be it. If you have to cancel votes that have already been returned, so be it. If people can't ultimately vote as a consequence of this, so be it. We should demand that state legislatures do what the Supreme Court says must be done. That's more important than administrative convenience. The byproduct is that the Republicans will receive more than 20 House seats in the upcoming midterms." So again, he's being very transparent. This is about getting 20 seats in the midterms. He lays it all out. There's no speculation. There's no inference. He just says the quiet part out loud. I'll also note the convenience. When the Supreme Court occasionally rules against them, as they did with tariffs, Trump suggests that the court is illegitimate and partisan and bought by foreign interests and should be ignored. Now he says everybody should obey the Supreme Court, right? Because it's politically convenient for him. The Supreme Court's decision all but vacated a provision in the VRA restricting racial gerrymandering and racial discrimination in voting by declaring Louisiana's congressional map, which included 2 majority black districts, unconstitutional. In response to the court's decision, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry declared an emergency and halted ongoing U.S. House primaries in the state to allow the GOP-controlled legislature to enact a new gerrymander before the midterms. Beyond Louisiana, the ruling has also triggered an onrush of Republican redistricting efforts in Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Tennessee, all of which are aimed at wiping out black political power. In his post, Trump did not clarify that redistricting after Calais would largely benefit the GOP only through the elimination of majority-minority districts across the southern states, which would dramatically diminish minority representation in Congress. Facing disastrous polling ahead of the midterms, Trump and the GOP have turned to politically gerrymandering electoral maps in their favor. The Supreme Court's ruling last week likely made that much easier, though Democrats have vowed to respond with political gerrymanders of their own. So again, he says, if you have to issue states of emergency, so be it. If you have to cancel active elections that are ongoing, so be it. If it screws over the voters, so be it. We need to steal 20 seats in order to avoid losing because we can't win on the merits. That's Trump's logic.
Real.
Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom, during an interview with Brian Tyler Cohen, friend of the show recently, was asked about this, and he weighed in on what Louisiana decided to do. Remember, it's dangerous enough coming as an order from the President of the United States, but at least one state has already effectively complied with that order. So we are seeing the results in effect, and we could see more as well. But let's hear from Governor Newsom.
For things to change, you have to change. We have to change. So our approach has to be even more aggressive than we even could have imagined just days ago, let alone weeks ago. So look, going forward, this is going to have profound and consequential impact on the map in this country. And obviously the impact to the black community is off the charts. The reality is we don't know yet how consequential it will be for the 2026 election, but we do know with some certainty that there's upwards of 19 or so seats conceivably that they can take back by 2028. But what Landry did, to your point, is jaw-dropping. Talk about not normal. The guy suspended the election. He declared a state of emergency to suspend an election where they had already sent the ballots
because
out
God
in some
forbid
cases.
black people get to vote for their preferred candidate in their district.
To take
it was that
one or
much of an
two
emergency.
districts to get rid of black minority districts. Think about that. In the South in 2025, not 19 or 20. I mean, this is literally 2 districts conceivably to eliminate black representation, suspends the election on May 16th. After literally ballots were sent overseas into the military.
Insane,
people were starting to vote. They're starting this
insane.
weekend, more formally, and early voting. And
the
we're going on with the
Supreme
rest of
Court,
our lives.
This is another one of
None
the
of this is normal. And
absolute
again, it's a
worst
preview, we keep saying it, of everything
rulings
to come. And so we have got to sort of redouble our efforts at the state levels. We have upwards of 10 seats looking at 2028. If we can win back state houses, now the whole playing field is about legislative races. And we can get up to about 2022 to compete. But right now, there's an asymmetry. They've got about a 2-to-1 advantage potentially going into 2028.
And that's why 2028 is really the one that matters most. Again, Laksha Jain, who's a polling expert, we interviewed him recently on the show. You should check out that video. He's pretty confident that even with the best that Republicans can do under the circumstances, that's not going to save them from losing the House in 2026. And that seems to be the consensus of most experts. Again, I suppose it's not written in stone, but I'm confident to the extent that I can be about that. But I am terrified about 2028. Politico reports an unmitigated shit show fever dream. Louisiana enters election chaos. Governor Jeff Landry's decision has set off a scramble among local election heads, GOP state legislators, and candidates on both sides of the aisle. Jeff Landry's abrupt decision to postpone the state's House primaries just days before voting was scheduled to begin has sent Republican officials scrambling. Local election heads are convening open meetings to educate voters about the change, which Landry triggered immediately after the Supreme Court ruled earlier this week that its map was unconstitutional, blowing a hole in the Voting Rights Act. That's giving Republicans the narrowest of windows to gerrymander 1 or 2 seats before the 2026 midterms and is leaving candidates guessing where they might be running. Meanwhile, a lawsuit filed late Thursday challenging Landry's ability to issue the sweeping emergency executive order threatens to further upend Louisiana's season. And the move only suspended the House races, meaning the rest of the primaries will continue unscheduled, including the hotly contested Senate race, whether voters realize it or not. Quote, "You have to move mountains to change the map to a constitutional one and obviously shift the election," said John Fleming, a Republican and former House Freedom Caucus member running for Senate. Quote, "It's going to be tough." So even Republicans are panicking about this as well, even though the decision, again, was pretty transparently made to rig the 2026 midterms in favor of the Republicans. And again, it canceled an active election. Ballots had already been sent out. So this is where we are, folks. This is the danger. I mean, they're going for broke. And this is why when people say
they are
you don't have to worry about Trump trying to stay in office after his constitutionally limited second term, you don't have to worry about this, that, and the other thing. It's like you can't ever take these things off the table. Donald Trump already broke with 250 years of precedent by resisting the peaceful transfer of power after he got his ass kicked in the 2020 election. He tried to sue his way back into power during the 2020 election. He tried to, engage in conspiracy and fraud in the fake elector scheme to steal the election from President Biden. And when both of those efforts failed, he then fomented a violent insurrection against lawmakers and the United States Constitution on January 6th to try to delay the transfer of power and the certification of President Biden's victory. So if you're capable of that, which he obviously was because we saw it happening, then he's capable of anything. And so here he is, as the sitting president, ordering Republican governors and Republican state legislatures to cancel active elections if need be and inconvenience the voters, potentially disenfranchise the voters in order to steal 20 House seats from the Democratic Party. Again, it is bad news for 2026, not so much that it's necessarily going to flip the outcome, but it further raises the stakes of the 2026 midterms, and it definitely previews what the hell is going to happen in 2028, in which, again, control of the House and the Senate are up for grabs, as well as the White House itself. So these are things that we have to be thinking about, and Democratic officials and Democratic legislatures, they also need to be preparing to gerrymander the hell out of their states further. We have to do tit for tat. This is a race to the bottom, and maybe the Republicans will win once we get to the bottom, but we have to fight back electorally and legislatively, especially when Donald Trump is pulling out the stops. So yes, this is alarming.
Jesus.
the Eastern District of North Carolina returned an indictment against James Comey on 2 counts.
This James Comey
The first
thing
count is that on or about
insane, dude.
May 15th of last year, he
Insane.
knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States. Count
fucking
2,
dumb, dude.
same day, May 15th, 2025, that the defendant, James Comey, knowingly...
I can't take any of these people seriously ever again. I can't. I just can't. I can't take any of these Ben Shapiro, any of these fucking losers. They're charging him for the 8647 tweet or whatever. Like, it's just...
and willfully transmitting in interstate
dumb.
commerce.
It's so obviously a politically motivated indictment. And, like, this is the fallback because their last one didn't work and it got dismissed. And this one will probably get dismissed even more quickly. I just hope it's dismissed, with prejudice. And, maybe even these lawyers get referred to the bar. Because this is insane.
Communication that contained a threat to kill the President of the United States. Both of these counts carry a maximum term of imprisonment of 10 years. So I think it's fair to say that threatening the life of anybody is dangerous and potentially a crime. Threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice.
This is such
Over
a
the
fucking
past
joke,
year,
dude.
This department has charged dozens of cases involving threats against all sorts of individuals. We take the...
You want to talk about an attack on free speech? He posted this on his Instagram and said, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk. We have illegal numbers. This is an illegal number. We are outlawing numbers now. Not good."
Seriously, every single one of them. For example, just today in the Northern District of Florida, there was a guilty...
And the weirdest thing about it is, like, how fucking serious they all look when they're talking about it. Like, dude, this is a whole pile of bullshit. Stop pretending.
Plea from an individual who threatened multiple political leaders, including President Trump. In the Eastern District of North Carolina, where this case was indicted earlier today, there are multiple threats cases very similar to this one, including one where the defendant pled guilty recently to threatening former President Biden, another one that's scheduled to go to trial this summer, another one indicted, an individual was indicted for threatening Tom Homan. I say that to say that while this case is unique and this indictment stands out because of the name of the defendant, his alleged conduct is the same kind of conduct that we will never tolerate and that we will always investigate and regularly prosecute. I want to take a moment to thank the hardworking members of the FBI who investigated this case over the past 11 months or so, the United States Secret Service who also assisted in this investigation, and the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of North Carolina, led by United States Attorney Ellis Boyle, who's standing to my right. This was an investigation that remains ongoing. That's been ongoing for about a year. And that's all we're going to say about it today.
A year-long investigation on an Instagram post. My God, good use of resources there.
It's such a fucking
the
joke.
U.S. Attorney
and
Boyle
this is one of the most
and after that,
egregious and obvious examples of politically motivated use of the Justice Department I think I've ever seen, ever. And they'll just keep whining about how, James Comey, when it comes, it's such a shame.
Patel, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Earlier today, a grand jury in the Eastern District of North Carolina returned a true bill indicting Mr. James Comey with committing 2 felonies. Count 1, he knowingly and willfully made a threat to kill and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States in violation of 18 U.S.C. 871A. Count 2, he knowingly and willfully transmitted in interstate and foreign commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill President Trump in violation of 18 U.S.C. 875C. Mr. Comey will be given every form of due process all citizens are entitled to receive, to include a trial by a jury of his peers.
It doesn't
In
get
the Eastern
dismissed.
District of North Carolina, it
If
doesn't
they
matter who
charge
you are.
him, they put him.
We
I mean,
take
if they,
all threat
convict him
cases
for this,
seriously and
our justice
prosecute
system is completely competent.
anyone who violates federal law, regardless of title or status. Thank you.
Thank you. As you heard from the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney, former FBI Director James Comey has now been indicted for 2 felony counts. While many of you may read this indictment and view this matter as a simple investigation, it is the farthest thing from that. Every single investigation this FBI and our partners at the Department of Justice undertake, especially those that involve the threats to harm.
Don't worry, I'm sure that all of the Asmongold and everybody else who are talking about how Europe doesn't have freedom of speech anymore, all those people are about to be heavily critical of this. Trust me, you're going to never hear the end of it from all those people.
They're going to love every
Or
second.
even kill individuals, whether they hold public office or civilians in our
They're gonna be
country,
like, "Good.
are met with the
I
same.
got already here. Asmongold, good. You can't do stuff like this. Okay? You can't threaten the president. That's fucked up.
Measure of investigative prowess and tools and personnel in partnership with the Department of Justice as anyone else. As the U.S. Attorney indicated, James Comey will be afforded every matter of due process under the United States Constitution. And as the Attorney General indicated, this has been a case that's been investigated over the past 9, 10, 11 months. These cases take time. Our investigators work methodically. They are career agents, career prosecutors who work these matters. They call the balls and strikes in the field as they see fit pursuant to the facts of the case and the law. They took that information and made a presentment to a grand jury, a jury of peers in the district in which the alleged crime took place. And that grand jury spoke, and that grand jury returned a 2-count indictment against James Comey. James Comey allegedly threatened the life of the President of the United States. And as you all now know, shortly after posting that threat, he deleted that threat and then issued an apology. All of that information was presented to the grand jury, and Mr. Comey will have his day in court and his ability to speak to a jury of his peers. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll just take a couple of questions.
Mr. Attorney General, the Justice Department in this filing today also issued an arrest warrant for Mr. Comey. Is it your belief that he is a continued public threat? And is there a request also for
They issued an arrest warrant for him as well?
detention that you anticipate will be made in this case?
So the Department of Justice does not issue arrest warrants, grand juries do. And so the grand jury returned an indictment and arrest warrant. I expect
They probably had to request an arrest warrant. Well, no? That'd be my guess. I could be wrong on that. But
hundreds of others do every year. There will be
this guy looks like he's taking the most powerful shit of his entire life.
Some sort of arraignment set by the judge or assigned to the magistrate judge, and when that happens, you'll know about it.
But in this is being handled differently from the last time he was indicted. That's my reference. In this case, the department requested an arrest warrant, right?
Well, I don't think that it's public or clear what the department requested. The grand jury issued an arrest warrant. Go ahead. Yes.
Sir, how will you prove intent when, as the director had...
Excuse me, I don't think it's public or clear. Hello? You're the Attorney General. Tell us, motherfucker. What do you mean? Well, tell us then. Make it public. Hello?
Acknowledged. Mr. Comey said he did not associate 86 with doing harm, and he took it down promptly, said it was political speech, not an intent to harm the president.
Well, it's not. This case was indicted today. This conduct occurred about a year ago, May 15th of last year. There's been a tremendous amount of investigation. And how do you prove intent in any case? You prove intent with witnesses, with documents,
witnesses,
with the defendant himself, to the extent it's appropriate, and that's how we'll improve intent in this case. And so I think that talking about
I'm sorry. Do you have friends of Comey's that are testifying that he wanted to kill the president with his Instagram post, that he was trying to drive people to murder the president? Because I didn't see any of that in the indictment. Did you? Did we read the indictment? It's 3 fucking pages. Oh my fucking God. I don't even want to read this. Fucking reads retardedly. On or about May 15th, 2025, in the Eastern District of North Carolina, the defendant, James Bryan Comey Jr., did knowingly and willfully make a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States, in that he publicly posted a photograph on the internet social media site Instagram, which depicted seashells arranged in a pattern, making out 86 47, which a reasonable recipient who is familiar with the circumstances would interpret as a serious expression of an intent to do harm to the President of the United States. Really? That's count one. Count two is just him interstate transmitting it. Upon conviction of any offense charged herein constituting specified unlawful activity, any property, real or personal, which constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the said offense. Oh, the defendant shall forfeit to the United States any property, real or personal, which constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the said offense. Wait, what? If any of the above described forfeitable property as a result of any act or omission of a defendant cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, has been transferred or sold to or deposited with a third party, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, seek forfeiture of other said property. Who are the witnesses? I hope he doesn't fight it. I hope he doesn't fight the indictment and he just says he wants to go to trial immediately. I would just love to see that. I want to see the trial.
What Mr. Comey will or will not do if there's a trial, when there's a trial, it's very premature. That's today.
General Blanch, I wanted to ask you a quick question about, there's a number of other different types of conduct Comey has been accused of over the past. One of them is abuse of FISA warrants. I wanted to ask if there's anything that we could talk about today in regards to that, but on a separate matter, if I may ask, any more updates about the ballistics forensic analysis with the shooting that happened over the weekend?
So on the first question, no, there's nothing else to report about any investigations or anything involving Mr. Comey except the indictment that was returned today by the grand jury. I don't have anything further to talk about with the ballistics that are still being analyzed. And I said it yesterday, and every law enforcement member who is speaking on this issue is saying the same thing as they should, which is that this is an ongoing investigation with really, really smart experts trying to understand what happened in that shooting and where the bullets went and ended up and where the...
What? Was it a fucking shot? Hold on, I misunderstood. Hold on.
That are still being analyzed, and I said anything.
It's about them is abuse of FISA warrants. I wanted to ask if there's anything that we could talk about today in regards to that. But on a separate matter, if I may ask, any more updates about the ballistics forensic analysis with the shooting that happened over the weekend?
So on the first question, no, there's nothing else to report about any investigations or anything involving Mr. Comey except the indictment that was returned today by the grand jury. I don't have anything further to talk about with the ballistics that are still being analyzed. And I said it yesterday, and every law enforcement member who is speaking on this issue is saying the same thing as they should, which is that this is an ongoing investigation with really, really smart experts trying to understand what happened in that shooting and where the bullets went and ended up and where the bullets came from. And
how many sources of bullets were there? I still don't get totally why Trump hates Comey so much. Like, he's a big reason Trump is president. Is it just because he didn't stop the Mueller report? No. Trump hates Comey because Comey got him on the Russia collusion shit. All the investigations into the fucking Trump Tower stuff, all the weirdos around him that were so heavily associated with Russia. It was Trump firing Comey because Trump fired Comey to stop that investigation. He didn't want more people digging into him. After they arrested Flynn, Trump told Comey, we can stop the whole investigation, right? Because this is kind of fucking me over. Can you please stop it? And then when Comey refused to drop the investigation, Trump fired him. That's what instigated Mueller being appointed as a special prosecutor. And that whole thing set that whole, I mean, not that it matters because none of the Americans even believe in anything related to the Mueller report or whatever anyway. So I don't know. But he fucking hates Comey for that shit because Comey wouldn't kill that investigation.
Once that is at a place where we can definitively say, to the extent we can definitively say, we will let you know.
Director Comey posted this almost a year ago. Why bring this case now? Did you always feel like this was a strong prosecution, or did something change recently?
This investigation just didn't come now. It's the result of a lot of work by law enforcement over the past year. We don't time when we bring cases around anything other than
what the fuck have you been investigating for a year on this? Destiny, thoughts on the assassination attempt? I've seen people speculate that the shots fired by the cops and the ones who were shot was because of friendly fire. Wait, isn't that confirmed at this point now? I thought now it's been confirmed that the person who was arrested didn't shoot a single shot. The only shots fired were by Secret Service, and then one hit a fellow officer in the vest, and then he went to the hospital and then was released the same day.
The investigation is at a place where we should go to the grand jury, and that's exactly what we did in this case as well.
As a former FBI director, you may not agree with what he did. Should he be able to turn himself in as a former FBI director? He's not a flight risk.
I didn't say he can't turn himself in.
He's not under arrest right now, and he may be able to.
I don't know whether he's under arrest right now. I'm here talking to you. The grand jury issued an arrest warrant. I think that the way that this happens is different in every case. It's fact intensive. It depends on, you're right, who the defendant is. It depends on whether he has counsel. It depends on what the judge wants done. And so I don't know when the judge will schedule an initial arraignment. If that will be scheduled by the magistrate or the district court judge, I am sure. I don't know if you want to speak to that, or if it's just something that will come up in the next coming days. You'll know when it happens. As far as what Mr. Comey does between now and then, I'm going to leave that up to the line prosecutors in the Eastern District of North Carolina, the FBI agents, and the work that they're doing.
Why why, Director Patel, maybe you said that it's a complicated thing. A lot of people may think it's an easy case. Why did it take so long? I know that you guys chose to go with this now.
They have nothing on this guy. This is literally political prosecution. That's it. They have fucking nothing on this dude. He's not going to have any answers for anything. He's just going to defer the entire time to saying that it's ongoing. We don't comment on ongoing investigations. Like, we'll see it at trial or whatever. This is also the indictments that these guys write. I'm not going to go over them, but like, if you look at the Jan 6 indictment, if you look at the indictment of the, you know what, fuck it. Now I'll bring up just like Enrique Tarrio indictment, Department of Justice. You can look at the Mar-a-Lago, like all of these indictments, bro. Remember when I debated Enrique Tarrio? All I had to do was bring up the indictment and read like 2 things of it, and he shut the fuck up for the rest of that debate, or at least about his case, because he knew he was fucked. If you compare the indictments that came out of the Biden DOJ to the Department of Justice now under Trump, it's like, it is so night and day. This was the indictment that they issued related to the seditious conspiracy stuff, which they secured convictions on, by the way. But you've got like everybody's name, where they live, what their age is, actions that they're accused of doing, and like things that you can see like clearly. On November 6th, Tarrio posted a message that read, "The media constantly accuses us of wanting to start a civil war. Kip, what the fuck you ask for? We don't want to start one, but we sure as fuck will finish one." He posted, "Fuck unity, no quarter, raise the black flag."
That's
if Biden steals this election,
like. So like Trump's gonna pardon that motherfucker, that dumb crazy motherfucker. Comey points a tongue-in-cheek 8647, which like at a restaurant just means like get rid of it, right? And it can be understood that way plenty of times. How is this realistic? How is this realistic in any way? It's fucking nuts.
Proud Boys will be political prisoners. We won't go quietly, I promise. We need to remember we're at war with a virus, not with each other. No, you need to remember the American people are at war with you. No Trump, no peace, no quarter. It's time for fucking war if they steal this shit. No, bitch, this is war. We tried playing nice about it, right? You've got all these posts. You've got the fucking Signal chats that they were a part of. You've got the group names. You've got the things that they were planning. You've got like the people in the group chats. You've got like references to documents. You've got the whole fucking plan outlined. Like, bro, you read these indictments compared to the thinnest fuck, the airiest, lightest, cringe fuck indictments that are coming out of the current DOJ. It's an embarrassment. It's a fucking joke how crazy weak these indictments are that this current DOJ is issuing. It's just a joke.
For the layman just looking at this case, or layperson looking at the case, it was an Instagram post. He apologized. Why did it take so long?
Well, I'm not going to get into the details of the investigation itself. But a lot of these cases, you could look at when the threats were made and when charges are brought. They're not easy cases. And so we have to, there's a communication that's sent in allegedly in this case. And so that means that we have to look at devices. Mr. Comey is a lawyer. He has lawyers. So the extent that we're looking at materials that are potentially privileged, we have to get a wall, set up a wall and let totally independent lawyers look at those. And so that doesn't happen overnight or quickly. And the statute of limitations of this is 5 years. We brought it in.
What?
Under 1 year. So that's really where we're at.
Mr. Lee, it's clear that you don't want to talk specifics today. But to the American public, can you at least give us a sense of whether you have hard evidence or evidence that shows that Mr. Comey intended for President Trump to be harmed? And then secondarily, for critics who...
He's going to say, oh, we got an indictment, didn't we? Which, by the way, standard for the indictment is just probable cause.
Yeah.
Say, where does
indictments are very easy to
end
obtain
and an actual threat of violence begin?
I don't know.
Wasn't the last one on him? You couldn't even get a grand jury to indict? I don't know.
What critics say that, especially today, but it's not a very difficult line to look at, and it's not, in my mind, a difficult line for one to cross over one way or the other. You are not allowed to threaten the President of the United States of America. That's not my decision. That's Congress's decision and a statute that they passed that we charge multiple times a year. And so whether there is a defense, as you just described, maybe there is, but the government will have evidence. I am not going to talk about the evidence that we have. That's unfair to him. It's unfair to the prosecutors, but it's enough to say that the grand jury returned an indictment. I'm just take one more question.
Yep, there was. They love indictments now. You guys do remember, please tell me you guys remember how much these motherfuckers hated grand juries before. Grand juries literally meant fuck all. They could eat shit because they hated grand juries.
With the Daily Wire, should we expect more indictments of this sort? For example, in 2020, Gretchen Whitmer did a TV hit with 8645 on her desk in the bus.
But it's enough to say that
of this sort. For example, in 2020, Gretchen Whitmer did a TV hit with, thank you, sir, with the Daily Wire. Should we expect more indictments?
The Daily Wire, what a disgusting subhuman fuck, giving them ideas on who else to indict. Wasn't there also, did she say Whitmer? Didn't Whitmer have a thing where they had 86 blah, 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 blah.
Of this sort. For example, in 2020, Gretchen Whitmer did a TV hit with 8645 on her desk in the background. Is that the kind of thing you would pursue? And then just really quickly, should Comey expect to face more charges for his role in the Russia collusion investigations?
I'm not going to comment on other investigations involving Mr. Comey. He was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia. That was dismissed on procedural grounds because of the judge's finding regarding the U.S. attorney. So that case is under appeal. As far
Procedural grounds? Okay, dude.
As far as other investigations that are happening, it would not be appropriate or fair for me to...
Can you explain the sentiment that indictments are easy to get from grand juries? Grand juries, you need probable cause to get an indictment. In a criminal case, you have to convict beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay? An indictment is issued on probable cause. However, federal governments or governments in general, prosecutors are not going after cases where they think the most evidence they can get is probable cause. Now, for smaller police departments, they might charge somebody with a crime, arrest them, and then they could do an investigation and gain more evidence or whatever, maybe off of the back of that arrest. But typically, you're charging somebody with a crime after you have enough to where you feel like you can secure a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt. So whatever's in an indictment is not all they have. The indictment is just going to be whatever they feel like they need to either make that argument to the American public, so the indictment looks good, and obviously enough to show evidence to the grand jury to secure an indictment. But generally, when the feds are charging with a crime, 96% success rate or whatever, if the feds are indicting you, you're probably going to be convicted. But these guys are just fucking charging whatever they think they can get a probable cause PC on. Like if they can get an indictment return, then fuck it, they'll fucking charge it. That seems to be the way that the current Trump administration is working, at least for political opponents.
U.S. attorney. So that case is under appeal. As far as other investigations that are happening, it would not be appropriate or fair for me to comment on that time. As far as other incidents of threats against the President of the United States, those will be investigated. Every case is different. The facts are different. Who makes the threat matters. What the threat says matters. You're right. The question about intent matters, and we have to prove that. That's something that's our job, and that's something that prosecutors will have to do in front of a jury at the right time. But you cannot compare. It's not fair to the American people. It's not fair to the defendant, and it's certainly not fair to the prosecutors to compare, well, if you did it here, why didn't you do it there? Every case is different, but there's one thing that will never be different, which is that you cannot threaten to kill the President of the United States. Full stop. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
President Trump's message to Pam Bondi.
You just charged the former head of the FBI and somebody who is a well-known political opponent of the President of the United States now, and you did a fucking 15-minute press conference on this indictment, and then you walk the fuck away? Fuck this guy. This is some North Korea tier shit, unironically. Jesus fucking Christ.
I think that's fair. If there's another thing that characterizes the Republican Party over the past decade, it's the politics of retribution. And we have seen that on display in a pretty significant way over the past several weeks, most especially the indictment earlier this week of James Bryan Comey Jr. And I'll read from count 1 of the indictment. James Bryan Comey Jr. did knowingly and willfully make a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States in that he publicly posted a photograph on the internet social media site Instagram, which depicted seashells arranged in a pattern making out, quote, 8647.
Disgusting
unquote,
of Comey to do that.
Which a reasonable recipient who is familiar with the circumstances would interpret as a
he's going to
serious...
soy out about Trump saying how he's going to end a civilization tonight the same way?
Who?
This guy.
I don't know. I don't know what the political persuasion of these people are. So.
Oh, well, I don't know. It sounded like he's going on a fucking rant that this is terrible, but we'll see.
Wasn't the terrible thing the indictment?
I thought that he was about to go on a rant about how what Comey actually did was terrible, so that's why I said what I said. If he doesn't, then I'm wrong.
Yeah, we'll see.
I missed
expression of an intent to do harm to the President of the United States. Sarah, is this a serious...
Oh, serious case? Like a legal case? No, it is the opposite of a serious legal case. You know that for a few reasons. One, there's binding Supreme Court precedent in a case called Watts about a guy joining the military and making a quote-unquote threat against Lyndon Baines Johnson. And the Supreme Court basically said, no, it's going to be the same policy basically as our incitement case law. There has to be imminence. There has to be like the actual practical ability to do the thing you're saying. Like you can spout off and say all sorts of things, and it is still protected by the First Amendment. Now, by the way, these are the same arguments I was making with all the incitement stuff about Donald Trump on January 6th. So, if you're listening out there and are like, yeah, totally, this wasn't a real threat, then guess what? The same person who's telling you that also thought that the idea that Donald Trump could be charged with incitement for January 6th was also not fitting in any sort of Supreme Court precedent. But anyway...
I don't understand what she's saying, but anyway, so she's a big Jack Smith supporter because Jack Smith also didn't charge Donald Trump with incitement. That wasn't part of the January 6th charging document, often largely, I believe, for the same reason that she's giving here. I'm sure she's aware of that, and she's just talking to other people that wanted a more insane indictment, and she's not actually mentioning the one that was actually issued by the DOJ, maybe, possibly, hopefully.
First Amendment for me and not for thee. It's not a serious legal case. You also know it because the prosecutor that they have on the case became a federal prosecutor on Monday. Truly, he was sworn in on Monday. He had previously been a special assistant United States attorney, meaning that he was not, a full-blown AUSA. He was doing Social Security cases. And this is not to make fun of this guy or say he's a bad lawyer or anything like that. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is if the administration thought this were a case that they actually wanted to win, that they thought was important, that they thought was serious, they have like thousands of other people to pick from who are the best of the best. They have been there for a long time. They have enormous experience with criminal jury trials, things like that. But that's not who they pick.
Would those people have taken this case? Would they? No. I mean, wouldn't you have had a bunch of resignations from people saying, "I'm not bringing this"?
Yeah.
Then fine, you make them resign.
No. I mean, I don't. That's not a criticism. My point is like, I assume that's the case, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen that in the case against John Brennan, right? Yeah.
You would like more than 3 days to prepare your case before you file the indictment. I don't know.
I'm not a day and a half.
But
so that's not what this case is about. They're not trying to get a conviction. The point is the press release. We've seen this over and over again. That was the case with the Southern Poverty Law Center. That's the case with the law firms. That's the case with the universities. These are press release indictments. Of course, that does enormous damage, both culturally and politically. It does chill speech and people's activities and thinking twice about criticizing their government. I hate that. Whether a law firm will take on a client, that should not be a political choice. And by the way, I'm not Pollyannish. Law firms were thinking about that long before this, but this has put it into stark contrast. It also means it hurts, and maybe this isn't a good way, or at least we can talk about the trade-offs. When the Department of Justice files an indictment and you have a 98% chance of being convicted, you plead out because DOJ doesn't bring cases that they lose. And so it made the system quite efficient in that sense. Though. If you now believe that DOJ has a, 60, 70% chance of winning, you're going to push that case to a jury trial a lot more often. Our federal system right now could not actually do that many jury trials. We don't have the resources for that. And so I think it will be very interesting moving forward. Now, this is a point that I've made before. I'm borrowing from Lindsay Chervinsky's book on John Adams. Joan and I are co-presidents of the Lindsay Chervinsky fan club, stalkers. And her point was that nothing George Washington did mattered until John Adams did it a second time. That you have to have repeated something for it to be a norm in American politics. Now, that, of course, were good norms that were being repeated by John Adams. Here, I don't think a lot of what Donald Trump's doing at the Department of Justice, of course it matters, but bear with me. I don't think it matters a lot until the next administration repeats it. If they repeat it, it is a norm in American politics, and the Department of Justice and the rule of law and all the things that we're talking about are badly damaged or cease to exist in a meaningfully American way as we have practiced them. If, however, the next administration comes in and does the opposite, and actually does the opposite, not just says they're doing the opposite like the Biden administration did after the first Trump administration, but actually through word and deed...
Wait, just say these are Republicans, right? Are they never Trumpers or conservatives that hate Trump, I'm guessing?
...uses to repeat what Donald Trump has done, then I think this will just be a sad chapter that we can close the book on. I don't think we are already at some point of catastrophe.
Megan, do you think that's likely that the next administration will come into this? I mean, we just talked about how we're in this sort of push and pull populist moment in politics. I would love to be reasonably optimistic about the likelihood that will happen. I'm not.
Look, this is a hard question.
Never Trump or conservative.
And I think a lot of it is going to come down to, do the Democrats let Trump leave? And do they just say he's not going to be president again? It is not worth going after him. They did not do that in 2020. Look, to be clear, I understand the emotional reasons that they did not do that. I was extremely upset.
Emotional
on January
reasons.
6th. I wanted him impeached, removed from office, prosecuted, and barred from ever running again. Right? This is not like I'm not saying that Donald Trump's just a normal guy and they just poor Donald Trump. That said, I think Sarah, you might have made the point to me that it did actually clog up. It became a problem for the DC crime rate because so many AUSAs were assigned to prosecuting January 6th protesters. And while I do think that the most serious should have been prosecuted, there was probably a line where you could say, you shouldn't have wandered into the Capitol, but you didn't destroy anything. You didn't hurt anyone.
Wandered in.
And you weren't part of the
It's at least a trade-off, right? You're going to spend all these resources to go after the person you just described instead of the guy who just brought a gun into a 7-Eleven down the block.
Right.
I'm sorry, how many of those did they fail to prosecute? And how many of the J6ers were successfully prosecuted? The J6er one, actually, there might not be as many because I think there was a Supreme Court decision or two that ended up causing a lot to get overturned, so.
But I think the case against Donald Trump, while I am morally clear on what Donald Trump did, I think it was always going to be harder to prove that what he did was legally illegal. And that made it maybe not a great idea to go after him. I think some of the other cases, same thing. And some of the cases were just spurious. Right, the New York cases in particular, they were just prosecutors who went out and literally declared that what they were going to do was find any.
These are all bullshit Republican talking points, but okay.
Anything they could prosecute him on, or in the case of Letitia James, who's the New York State AG, it wasn't a prosecution; it was a civil case, but same difference. And then they did. And here's the thing: the number of progressive law professors and lawyers and so forth that I saw defending these absolutely outrageous, I've got an expired misdemeanor. But here, through the magic of funny words, I have turned this into 31 felonies. The number of people who defended that, they're like, it's a hard call. You think it's not a hard call. I'm sorry. If the situation had been reversed and this were Joe Biden, 0% of you would be arguing that maybe we should prosecute it.
I'm sorry, the situation was reversed and there was a special counsel for fucking classified documents that they turned over the second they had them. And there was a whole ass 200-page Her report that was released on it. And Hunter Biden was investigated for 72 fucking years So I don't understand what you're saying there, but okay.
No, there's probably one weirdo out there who would, but everyone else was just engaging in motivated reasoning. And it was phenomenally destructive. And so I think the grift in the Trump administration is incredible. And yet I think that the wise thing to do is going to be for the Democratic establishment, such as it is, to form a consensus that, nope, we're done. You can prosecute the lower level people if you catch them doing corrupt things. We're going to let the Trump family go. Not because they deserve it or they're above the law, but because it's like a red cape with a bull. The Democratic Party is not going to be able to prevent itself unless it just takes a hard line from cutting a lot of corners, making some sleazy decisions in order to get him. Because they want him so bad. And I understand, guys. I get it. You're justified. He's a terrible president. He has violated all sorts of norms. He has degraded his office.
Terrible president, violated norms, and degraded the office. The softest language possible.
Let him go.
He's going to be 82. He's not going to be able to run again. And it is better to let this walk than to establish any kind of legal precedent of like, oh, well, we just bent the law. It's just a little bit. You'll hardly notice. It's just like a little dent. It's right above the fender. You really have to look hard to see it. No. Because if you do that, as I agree with Sarah, then it's a norm.
Will you cut down all the trees to get to the devil himself?
Yep. No, I would not.
No,
sir.
Stupid.
So, I on January 6th, I'm with everybody else. It was a horrendous thing. The problem was I don't necessarily think Megan disagrees with me, but she said it would be difficult to do a legal case about January 6th against Donald Trump. And no offense to Sarah, but who gives a rat's ass about the legal case? It was impeachable. I defend Mitch McConnell on 1,000 different things because I think a lot of criticisms of Mitch McConnell are stupid. But the massive mistake
thing was retarded.
The grave error of his life was having it set up to remove, to convict in the Senate Donald Trump, and he chickened out. He chickened out for partisan reasons. I bet you if he gave him truth serum now, he would regret it.
Yep.
He didn't think it mattered. He thought that Donald Trump was politically dead, so why take the political cost of any of your guys?
I think this is actually a really good example of why Democrats should forbear. Because what you do is once the process has taken over.
But the Republicans forbeared, and now Trump came back again, and they got their whole political establishment got fucking upended by MAGA. Unless she thinks that's a good thing, I guess, for them, or that most of the Republican lawmakers would think that's a good thing.
Start convincing yourself, like, oh, I can just do this little thing, right? Mitch McConnell had a very clear obligation to the U.S. Constitution, and he abdicated it.
I agree
in order for political advantage, and don't do it. Just don't go there.
So that's the precedent that's already been broken, right? I mean, to the Travinsky point about it's not a norm until it's repeated. For all intents and purposes, impeachment is a dead letter in a constitutional order at this point. It's just really hard to do, which is why I am not a big amend the Constitution guy. We got to do something about the pardon power, because if you can't impeach and remove a president, and you can't plausibly threaten to impeach and remove a president, we're screwed. Because that abuse of pardon power was one of the things that James Madison explicitly said was impeachable. And one of the things that lawyers, again, no offense to Sarah, that the TV pundit lawyer class has so ruined the conversation about Sarah's holding up the book.
This is page 332 of this New York Times bestseller of proposed amendments. Number 3, make it easier to convict public officials on articles of impeachment to rebalance the separation of powers between Congress and the executive, and what follows is actual language to do so. So take up the cause, Jonah.
But my point is that the way we talk about impeachment is we talk about it as if it was a criminal trial.
Yeah.
And it's not a criminal trial. It's a political trial. It's explicitly a political trial. You can't be sent to prison by a removal from office in an impeachment Senate hearing, right? It is merely whether or not you should be fired. And then there's a question about what the law can do with you after you've been kicked out. We've completely ruined people's understanding of that. No one's above the law, blah, blah, blah. The law has nothing to do with it. And without the threat of impeachment, all sorts of things that check a president are out the window. And Biden abused the pardon power. Congress, like whatever you think about the Clinton impeachment, the fact that we had 2 more impeachments for Trump, we're probably going to have a third, and that they become performative show trial, political show trial things rather than actual.
If only there was some way we could know why Biden used
serious questions about the constitutional order. That is already messing up the system in enormous ways, and it is going to be, I think, a norm that makes the next Democratic president exceed the boundaries that he's supposed to work within in terms of the presidency in all sorts of ways that are hard to predict in a straight line, but they're coming.
Norm.
Oh, and one last thing. 86 I just got to be clear about, 86 does not mean murder.
Yeah, so we're going to get there. Give me a second. Let me just make an observation and then
we'll get there,
sort of a bit pushback. I mean, surely there is a gap between the next administration. I think all of us are assuming it's going to be a Democratic administration, by the way, that we're talking to right now, will come in and sort of do what Trump has done, which could make these things, to your point, Sarah, your John Adams point, norms. And I think we're correct in warning against that. But surely there's a huge gap between coming in and doing the kinds of things that Donald Trump has done.
And just holding him accountable.
These retributive, just taking these retributive justice measures or attempting these retributive justice measures and actually prosecuting people for real crimes. Yeah. And Megan, I take your point about sort of, you don't want to dwell in the past. You're going to kick up more dust. People are going to be increasingly angry. But isn't it also important for the sake of the rule of law to actually prosecute people for actual crimes in the way that if you could prove that they've committed them?
That's the New York case against Donald Trump, right? Like they said,
No,
like,
that
look,
is
there's an
not. It's the
actual
opposite
crime.
of that.
But they thought it was. Right? People convince themselves that if they can find something in a criminal statute, in the federal code or whatever, that therefore there's an actual crime and that this needs to be done to uphold the rule of law.
Yeah, no, but I'm making basically the opposite point. I accept your description, Megan's description. It's the same description I have given in the past about the New York case. It was bogus. It shouldn't have happened. All of the various ways it was stretched and unseemly. I buy it all. What I'm talking about are some actual crimes, real crimes that are prosecutable that you can do this. So that's sort of point number one.
But haven't Democrats proven that they're not able to tell the difference when it comes to the high emotion of Donald Trump and the people who work for Donald Trump? Because again, they not only brought that case, they got convictions in that case.
And everyone used it in their campaigns. Yeah. Felonies.
So should they not? They should not actually, if there are real crimes that serious people can identify, they should just avoid doing it because of appearances that it'll look like the New York case in the past?
You're going to have to give me an example of a, quote, real crime.
Well, I mean, look, I think there are a lot of, so first of all, I think there will be many to choose from, unfortunately, I think, given what we've seen over the course of the first 2 years of the Trump administration. But, you know, I would point to somebody like a John Ossoff, who's running for re-election in Georgia, relatively moderate Democrat, for why this is unlikely to happen, why what Megan laid out is unlikely to happen. I mean, Ossoff is running on prosecuting the Trump administration on crimes. And he's doing this in a purple state as a relatively moderate guy who knows he needs to win independents and Republicans. And he's making the promise. You know, if you're frustrated by the corruption that you're seeing and splashed on the front pages of newspapers every day of the Trump administration, you should know that when we Democrats are elected to Congress, when I have another term, we are going to go after them and hold them accountable for the crimes that they are committing right now. He's running on this. So I think the likelihood that they're going to not actually take this step is very slim.
I see this as two bundles of sticks. One bundle of sticks is you can get the real crimes, but you're also going to get the not real crimes.
A bundle
and,
of
like, you have to take those together. Or everyone gets away with it. And if I have to pick between those two, I'm picking everyone gets away with it because of the norm problem, because I'm unwilling to tolerate the prosecutions for press releases and punishment stick in that other bundle of sticks. And I know, Steve, you want to just like take out...
Just as a heads up, so you know how Republicans think. Prosecutions for headlines equal New York indictment. They got 34 convictions in court against the president. Headline grabbing investigations are things like the Mueller report, which got, I don't know how many convictions, plus like 12 indictments, plus later an entire Russian media manipulation scheme, plus made its money back because of the property that was seized by Manafort. Okay, that's a fake Russiagate investigation, right? These are the bullshit investigations, and those are comparable to Donald Trump's DOJ that sometimes can't even get an indictment because they don't even have a real prosecutor selected, like Halligan, over and over again. Like, it's the comparisons are so fucking crazy to me.
Real crime stick from that bundle, but I don't think you can.
There's not just one real crime stick. I think there's going to be a lot of real crime sticks.
If you have to pick between the two bundles of sticks, they come together. Which bundle are you willing to pick? Because I think that's the realistic choice that you're facing.
Yeah, I think a Democratic president is going to have to make it extremely clear that we're not doing this, that no one's doing this, that if you do this, I will make your life unpleasant. I will support primary challengers. Do not do this. To every like down ticket, AG, DA. And that's the only way it's going to work, because otherwise you're going to get the fake crimes.
Can a Democratic presidential candidate get elected on that? Hey, I'm running.
No.
I'm running, and I'm not going to go after Donald Trump.
You don't run on it. It's when you win.
You don't
lie to the voters, mislead the voters, and then
like us when we win, said Josh Lyman, or maybe Toby.
But also the voters, I don't actually think the voters are hungry to see Trump prosecuted.
Nope.
I think like 4 Democratic primary voters are. And everyone else just wants to get on with their life and close that chapter.
And have their gas be less expensive and their groceries less expensive and have some health care that they were promised.
Fuck them.
Yeah. Would they also like Trump to be prosecuted? Maybe, but they'd like all those other things first.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I buy that. So speaking of, this is sort of the perfect setup for our wonderful Not Worth Your Time. Speaking of norms and 86, Jonah, you strenuously objected to the definition of 86 that the court is using, or the grand jury is using, in going after James Comey, where it's taken as a given that 86 means we are going to kill the president. That is the basic assumption underlying count one from this grand jury. 86 does not mean that. Do you have ideas about what 86 means and where it comes from? Because
This is so stupid.
So this is our Not Worth Your Time? Like, what is 86
So
mean?
we're sort of like collapsing into a not worth your time. So yes, 86, give me your definition before we get to the formal not worth your time, and then I will introduce the not worth your time.
Okay, because I feel like you're setting us up for some sort of little kid joke about...
It's not a joke.
8,
Very
86,
serious.
because 7, 8, 9. Anyway, okay, so 86, I grew up understanding meant you were cut off at a bar, or you were not to be served anymore. And one of the reasons why I know this is not because I was cut off at bars when I was a 10-year-old or whatever, but I grew up watching Get Smart. And Maxwell Smart and Get Smart was Agent 86. And that was the joke, right? I mean, that was like with Mel Brooks and was it Buck Henry? That was a funny name. Instead of 007, it's Agent 86, right? And if that meant elite assassin, it would have come through more in the show, I feel. And so, like, I know people, I never really worked in the food and beverage industry, but I know people who did. And they're like, people would say, oh, yeah, we had to 86 them. I mean, that's the way I've always heard the term. And Comey what does the actual text of the thing say? He says, interesting shells, right? Like,
and the shells spelled out on the beach
8647. Right. And like, even if that was the person who put the shells down meant to murder Trump, Comey can just be like, even if he thought it meant murder Trump, saying interesting shells is not saying go murder Trump. It's like you could have posted a picture of someone having put up graffiti saying murder.
Like the former director of the FBI
I just had a brain blast. I know what the additional evidence is that the Trump admin has that makes them feel like they can indict this fucking case.
Which is?
Hold on, give chat 1 second. I don't want to see if anybody mind melded with me on this. I'm about to say the most retarded fucking thing in the universe. This would be so dumb. But I wonder if their theory is that when Comey posted this picture on Instagram, he made it sound as though he happened to stumble upon this arrangement of shells made by somebody else, but we have text message evidence of him communicating with somebody saying that he arranged it himself. And that's why we're charging this particular crime. That would be so unbelievably fucking retarded. But I wonder if they have him like in a text message, like admitting to arranging the shells, and like that's why we're charging this one. But that would just be crazy.
Trump, and you say interesting graffiti, right? That's still not calling for Trump to be murdered. So anyway, I think it's just incredibly stupid.
By the way, you can say, I agree with this graffiti. You can, I mean, you can say all sorts of things, and we're still not even close to the criminal line of what's not protected by the First Amendment. BT dubs.
Let's just say James Comey is extraordinarily annoying. It was such a stupid post, unworthy of like a preteen jab. Foolish to do in every respect. So I think, and I'm not objective about this, I think the term 86, and probably you've heard this or read this, especially Jonah and Megan, since you are native New Yorkers, comes from Chumley's in the West Village, which was a bar that was opened by an anti-prohibition activist named Lee Chumley, who used it as a speakeasy. And the bar had doors on two different streets, two different sides. One of those doors was 86 Bedford Street. And the story goes, and it's been reported by the New Yorker, it's in this book that I do not have, but really want to have, about the history of bars in New York City, great bars in New York City, by a woman named Jeff Klein. The Chumley's story goes as follows. Hang on, I've got to move this.
A woman named Jeff Klein.
A woman named Jeff Klein wrote this.
A boy named Sue.
Okay. This book, it like covers a lot of my old hangouts when I lived in New York City. So I'm
all the places you got 86 from?
Interested. Yeah. So here's how it's described in The New Yorker, famous for its fact checking. The rich history of Chumley's precedes its latest iteration. Its latest iteration is now a steakhouse. Opened during Prohibition in 1922 by the activist Lee Chumley, the bar was a reliable place to get a stiff drink for writers including Ernest Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Will Catherine, and Dylan Thomas. It even has its own contribution to the lexicon as the birthplace of the term 86th, derived from the back door at 86 Bedford Street, through which patrons were advised to skedaddle when the police were en route. So what they would do is they would get a tip from either a sympathetic cop who knew that there was a potential bust, or from somebody else, and they would then allow the police in through one door, shoo the patrons out another door, throw sawdust, and I think bleach was the old story. I think that's the origin of the term 86. So my question, dear panelists, Chumley's was my favorite, one of my two favorite hangouts for the year that I lived in New York City. I had a friend, Dave Chase, was a buddy of mine from college, from undergrad, lived right around the corner. We spent a lot of time and a fair amount of money at Chumley's, which at that point, this is late 90s, early aughts, had become a firefighter hangout. And it was a great classic New York City bar. And we got to the point where people knew us. When occasionally we walked in, a bartender might recognize us when we pulled up to the bar. Did you all have a place, either a restaurant or a bar, where you were a regular, where people knew what your order was, whether it was a drink, whether it was food, someplace, maybe not quite to the level of Norms, speaking of Norms, like Norm on Cheers, where everybody called your name when you walked in.
This is like a dance story.
He's getting to it. Hold on.
You know what?
You were
the payoff. Okay? The payoff matters.
Regular. And if you did, what was it and what did you get? And I'll start with you, Megan.
My regular place was Koch's Deli it was actually in Philadelphia. And my regular order was a roast beef on rye with butter and salt and pepper. I love that sandwich so much. The roast beef was really good. It was so lean and rare. It got to the point where like I would walk in the door and there'd be a line. There was almost always a line. And by the time I got to the counter, he would just hand me the sandwich that he'd been making as the other, it was so good. And the knish that I would get with it. Those were the days, man.
Sarah, did you ever have such a place?
When I was 4 years old, my mother would walk me from preschool.
Okay, maybe this is just like a short story sharing segment.
Over to the soda shop. This is in downtown Richmond, Texas. It had a population of about 2,000 people. It had like noon horn, and this is where Santa Anna marched to be defeated at San Jacinto, which is many, many miles away, but you gotta get there somehow. And I would walk in, sit down on the stool, which was difficult for a 4-year-old to get up on, and I would say, "I'll have my usual." And one day, I turned to my mother and said, "What's a usual?"
That's freaking epic.
Cheese.
Beautiful. Jonah, did you have such a place?
Where anyone would call out my name or anything. Two places. One, growing up in New York City in the 1980s, before the drinking age went to 21, it was 18 or 19, whatever. And so starting about 9th or 10th grade, we would go to this bar with fake IDs up by Columbia, making them cannons. And
I feel like Alec Guinness. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
So that was our big hangout, and then it became a thing where for 15, 20 years after college, me and my friends from high school would meet there the night before Thanksgiving and make bad decisions. And in the 1990s in Washington, D.C., some of you may recall the Toledo Lounge in Adams Morgan, which was created by...
man. Whoa, they're sharing their lives, bro.
Wait, dated for about 30 seconds, but was a good friend of mine, her sister Mary, and they grew up in bars in Toledo. And at one point, Stephanie, I tried to help her get a book contract, wanted to write a memoir called My Life Behind Bars, and it was good for barbers. And the Toledo Lounge was definitely my hangout throughout much of the 1990s. And there, if I walked in, they would yell Jonah, because I usually knew the bartender, whoever was working there, and this wait staff and that kind of thing. And other poor decisions were made there.
So that's very funny.
Even they're like, I love this.
Problem.
Well, this indictment is insane. I'm sure it's not really going to go anywhere. Because that would be even more insane if it fucking does. But, hey. That's where we are right now. How about that? Jesus Christ. Candy! Oh my gosh. Hi, it's been a minute. How you doing? I'm doing good, even though the world is falling apart. What's new with you? Even though the world is falling apart. Yep. Are you going to be around? Well, I'm trying to get back into it now. I mean, this is, my early stream. I'm about to end the early stream, but my night debates are back to just political stuff. So, now, yeah. Are you going to be around tonight? I'll be back in around 4 hours. Well, the stuff I had planned to talk about, we've got Iran war stuff. There's this ruling on the birth control. Yeah, we can talk Iran war stuff for sure. Whatever you want. Other than that, we're continuing with this Comey thing is fucking driving me nuts. So maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that. But like, I'm open, to whatever. I'm down for whatever. Supreme Court. There's also the we can talk about like what do we think the Democrats should do if they gain power again? How should they handle all the Supreme Court stuff? Like, how do we move forward? Other stuff, just all kinds of shit, all of the thing. That sounds good to you. Yes, awesome. Well, then I hope to hear you jumping into the Discord. We can get into it. Get into some good stuff, It's been some time. Sometime a little bit too long, some people are saying. What up? Yeah. So I don't know if you know this, but I hung out with Tiny a few weeks ago. And I actually mentioned Puggy when we were talking, and he was like, yeah, I haven't seen her in a while. And I was like, no one knows where he is. Yep. I did. Yeah, it was really, really cool. He gave me some advice, which was get back to debates, see if you can get on some fucking panels like WIC panel and stuff like that. So, yeah. I want to do that. Yeah. No, I mean, like, I want to. I've just been, I guess I got a little burnt out for a while. And, like, right now, so much of the news is just, like, it feels like the same shit over and over, you know what I mean? And I do love debates. Sometimes it's hard to debate the same shit over and over when the news is, like, really shitty. But you're right. Like, I need to get back into it. I saw Cinderella, like, a week ago-ish. I went to visit him in San Diego, and we were talking about doing that as well, and I know Llama wants to do it, and it would be really cool if, like, the three of us could get on a WIC panel together and do, like, a 3v3 type thing. That would be sweet. Yeah. Yeah, it's just time. Time for me to use my powers for good, you know? Yeah, it was cool. It was, he's really super nice, a bit shy, but it was fun to talk to. I asked him, one of the things I asked him was like, who's your favorite person you think that you ever debated? Like, who's your favorite person to debate against? Any guesses who his answer was? I was a little surprised, but nope. Two more guesses, and then I'll tell you. I mean, I don't think so. You would remember this guy's name. Nope. One last guess, and then I'll tell you. Yeah. Yeah. Take your time. Yeah, take a shot in the dark. Just go for it. It's someone he spoke to a lot, not quite as much as he used to, but someone he used to speak to like almost every day. Pisco. Exactly. I know. I know. Interesting, right? All right. I'm going to take off. I'm going to end my early stream. You know, like him and Loner either. Yeah, I know. But hey, why don't we talk about... I mean, I like Loner. I like Loner for his content. I do wish he'd change his mind about Tiny, but yeah, we can talk about that later too. I'm gonna end my early stream for now. I'll be back in. Because he's a slow talker. At least he's not as slow as Norm. But yeah, I'm gonna end the early stream for now. Like I said, I will be back in a few hours at 6 Pacific, and I will see you then, and we can debate stuff. We can talk about stuff. Feel free to bring topics or particular questions if you have any. I'm down to get into stuff. Good to see you. Can't wait to see you.